ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शांति शांति शांतिः. Namaskar my dear friends. This is video number 2 Avadhoota Gita of Bhagwan Dattatray. So this video starts with chapter 2, stanza number 1. Balasya va visya bhoga ratasaya मूर्खस्य सेवका जनस्य ग्रह स्थिताश्च एतद् गुरोः किम् अपि नैव न चिन्तनीयम् रत्नं कथं त्याज्यति को प्यास च प्रविष्टम्. Of the teacher, even if he be young, illiterate or addicted to the enjoyment of sense objects, even if he be a servant or a householder, none of these should be considered. Does anyone shun a gem fallen in an impure place, illiterate, not versed in the scriptures, addicted, etc.? Apparently so. Stanza number 2. नैवात्रे काव्यगुणम् एवं तो चिन्तनीयो ग्राह्य परम गुणवत्ता खलुं सार एवं सिंदूरचित्ररहित रहिता भुवि रूप शून्य पारम ने किम नियति नौरिहि गंतु कमान. In such a case, one should not consider even the quality of scholarship. A worthy person should recognize only the essence, does not a boat, though devoid of beauty and vermilion paint, nevertheless ferry passengers, even etc. The essential qualification of the teacher is not intellectual eminence but capacity to impart spiritual illumination. Stanza number 3. प्रयातेन विना येन निश्चलेन चलाचलं ग्रस्तं स्वाभन्तः सन्तं चैतन्यमा गगनोपमम्. The unmoving one who without effort possesses all that is movable and immovable is consciousness, naturally calm like the sky. Stanza number 4. अयत्ना च यद्देस्तु एकं विचराचरं सर्वगं तत्कथं भिन्नम् अद्वैतं वर्तते मम. How can he, the one and all pervading, who moves effortlessly all that is movable and immovable, be differentiated to me? He is non-dual. अहमेव परम यस्मात् सारतरम शिवम गमागम विनिर्मुक्तम निर्विकल्पम निराकुलम. I am verily supreme, since I am the absolute, more essential than all essences, since I am free from birth and death, calm and undifferentiated. Stanza number 6. सर्वयवा निर्मुक्तं तथा हम त्रिदाश्चितं संपूर्णत्वं न गृह्णामि विभगं त्रिदासादिकम्. Thus I, free from all components, am worshipped by the gods, but being full and perfect, I do not recognize any distinctions such as gods and the like, free, etc., not made up of parts, indivisible, worshipped, etc., because the true self is the highest divinity, recognized, etc., in the highest spiritual realization. Distinctions and differences are perceived. Stanza number 7. परमादेन न संदेह किम करिष्यामि वर्तिमान उत्पद्यन्ते विलीयन्ते बुद्बुदाश्च यथा जले. Ignorance does not create any doubt. What shall I do, being endowed with modifications of the mind? They arise and dissolve like bubbles in water. Ignorance, etc. The man of the highest spiritual perception, after realizing his divine identity, may live on the relative plane and thus appear enveloped by ignorance, but even then he is never unaware of his divinity. What, etc. Though the man of highest spiritual perception appears to think, will, etc., yet as the pure witness he remains completely separate from mental activities. महदादिनी भूतानि सम्प्यासि वयं सदैव हि मृदुर्येषु तिक्षेणु गुदेषु कतुकेषु च. Thus am I ever pervading all existence, beginning with cosmic intelligence, pervading soft, hard, sweet, and pungent substances. Stanza number 9. कटुत्वं चैव सत्यत्वं मृदुत्वं च यथा जले. प्रकृति पुरुष दवदभिन्नं प्रतिभाति मे. As pungency, coldness or softness is non-different from water, so Prakriti is non-different from Purusha, thus it appears to me. Prakriti, nature, relative existence, Purusha, spirit, the absolute. Stanza number 10. सर्वाख्या रहितं याद यत् सूक्ष्मतं परम मनो बुद्धीन्द्रियातीतं अकल्कं जगत्पतिं. The Lord of the universe is devoid of all names. He is stiller than the subtlest. Supreme, he is spotless beyond the senses, mind and intellect. Lord, etc., the self. Stanza number 11. ईदर्शं सहजं यात्रा अहं तत्र कथं भवि तवमेव हि कथं तत्र चराचरम्. Where there is such a natural being, how can there be I? How can there be even you? How can there be the world, natural, existing in its natural, that is pure state? Stanza number 12. Gagnopam tu yak proktam tadev gagnopam chaitanyam dosahinam cha sarvagyam purnam mev cha. That which has been described as being like ether is indeed like ether. That is consciousness, blameless, omniscient and perfect. Stanza number 13. Prithvyam charitam naiv maruten cha vahitam varina pihitam naiv tejo madhe vivasthitam. It does not move about on the earth or dwell in fire. It is not blown by the wind or covered by water. Stanza number 14. Akasam ten संव्याप्तं न तद्व्याप्तं च केनचित् स बाह्य अभ्यंतर तिष्ठितवच्छिन्नं निरन्तरम्. Space is pervaded by it, but it is not pervaded by anything. It is existing within and without. It is undivided and continuous. Stanza number 15. सूक्ष्म त्वादृश्य वाणी गुणत्वा च योगिभिः आलम्बनादि यत् प्रोक्तम् कर्मादलम्बनं भवेत्. One should successively take recourse to the objects of concentration as mentioned by the yogis in accordance with their subtlety, invisibility, and attributelessness, take, etc., in order to attain to the absolute or dissolution in the absolute. As it is said in the next verse, one has to reach the state of infinite and undifferentiated consciousness by eliminating all mental differentiations or moments. The method of this mental differentiation The method of this elimination is to make consciousness dwell on one object continuously by obstructing its restless tendency to dwell on multifarious objects. But the object of concentration has to be chosen carefully. The beginner chooses a gross object. When he has dwelt on it continuously for some time, his consciousness becomes subtle and steady. He then chooses a subtle object to concentrate on. Gradually, he reaches a high state of concentration. But some differentiations in his consciousness still remain. There is the consciousness of himself as the concentrator of the object on which he is concentrating and of the process of concentration. Next, even these differentiations vanish, for the object of concentration dissolves and there remains only the pure, undifferentiated consciousness, the absolute. Stanza number 16. सतत अभ्यास युक्तस्य निरालंबो यदा भवेत् तल्यते न अंत गुण दोष विवर्जितः. When through constant practice one's concentration becomes objectless, then being divested of merits and demerits, one attains the state of complete dissolution in the absolute through the dissolution of the object of concentration, but not before then. Stanza number 17. विश्वस्य रौद्रस्य मोहमूर्छाप्रदस्य च एकमेव विनाशाय हैमोघं सहजामृतम्. For the destruction of the terrible poisonous universe which produces the unconsciousness of delusion, there is but one infallible remedy, the nectar of naturalness, unconsciousness, etc. Delusion which makes one unconscious of the divine reality. Naturalness, the state of pure existence, divine identity. Stanza number 18. भावगम्यं निराकरं साकारं दृष्टिगोचरं भावाभावविनिर्मुक्तमन्त्रम् आलं तदुच्यते. That which has form is visible to the eye, while the formless is perceived mentally. That the self being beyond existence and non-existence is called intermediate. Neither material nor mental, that is beyond both. Stanza number 19. बाह्ये भावं भवे दिवसमन्तं प्रकृतिरुच्यते अंतरा अंतरम गेयम नारिकेलफला अम्बुवत्. The external existence is the universe, the inner existence is called Prakriti. One should try to know that which is more interior than the inner existence, that which is like water within the kernel of the coconut. Prakriti in its subtle aspects, cosmic intelligence, cosmic mind, etc. Stanza number 20. भ्रान्ति ज्ञानं सिततं बाह्यं सम्यज्ञानं च मध्यज्ञं मध्यन्तरं ज्ञेयं नारिकेलफला अम्बुवत्. Illusory knowledge relates to what is outside, correct knowledge to what is inside. Try to know that which is more interior than the inside, that which is like water within the kernel of the coconut. Stanza number 21. पौर्णमास्यां यथा चंद्र एक अवाति निर्मलम तेन तत्सदृशं पश्येद विधा दृष्टि विपर्यः. There is only one very clear moon on the full moonlight. One should perceive that the self, like the moon, seeing duality is perversion. Stanza number 22. अनेनैव प्रकारेण बुद्धि भेदो न सर्वगः दाता च धीरतामिति गीयते नाम कोटिभिः. It is indeed in this way that intelligence becomes divided and ceases to be all comprehending. A giver attains to wisdom and is sung with millions of names. This etc. By seeing duality, also of course plurality, divided, perceiving many objects separated from one another, as in ordinary experience. Intelligence should, if it is not clouded with ignorance, perceive only unity, the whole of reality at once. Such perception, according to Vedanta, is the only true perception of reality. Giver, maker of charity, the second part of this verse, and as a matter of fact, the whole verse is a little obscure. Our translation of the second part is literal. The probable meaning is when a person gives away all he possesses in charity and thereby attains to perfect renunciation. Being free of all worldliness, he attains to the knowledge of the self and is praised in various ways for both his charity and his spiritual knowledge. The Sanskrit data for the word giver also means a teacher. Stanza number 23. गुरु प्रज्ञा प्रसादेन मूर्खो वा यदि पंडितः यस्तु संबुध्यते तत्वं विरक्तो भवसागरात्. Whoever, whether he be ignorant or learned, attains to the full awareness of truth through the grace of a teacher's wisdom, becomes detached from the ocean of worldliness, ignorant, devoid of scholarship. Stanza number 24. राग द्वेष विनिर्मुक्तः सर्वभूते हिते रतः दृढ़बोधश्च धीरश्च स गच्छे परम पदम्. He who is free from attachment and hatred, devoted to the good of all beings, fixed in knowledge and steady, shall attain to the supreme state. Stanza number 25. घटे भिन्ने घटाकाश आकाशे लीयते यथा देहा भावे यथा योगे स्वरूपे परमात्मनि. As the space within a pot dissolves in the universal space when the pot is broken, so a yogi in the absence of the body dissolves into the supreme self which is in his true being. Stanza number 26. Ukteyam karam yuktanam matiryantriyapi sa gati nechokta yog yuktanam matiya api sa gati. It has been said that the destiny of those devoted to action is the same as their thought at the end, but it has not been said that the destiny of those established in yoga is the same as their thought at the end. And the dying moment, the belief in India clearly expressed in the Bhagavad Gita is that the last thought in the mind of the dying person indicates the nature of his future existence. This is not true, however, of one who has attained to the knowledge of the self. Stanza number 27. Ya gati karam yuktanam sa chay vagindriyadavdet yoginam ya gati kavapi hai katha bhavatorjita. One may express the destiny of those devoted to action with the organ of speech, but the destiny of the yogis can never be expressed because it is transcendental. Stanza number 28. Evam gyatva tavmumam margam yoginam naiv vikalpvarjana tesham swam siddhi parvartate. Knowing this, one never says that the yogis have any particular path. For them, it is the giving up of all duality. The supreme attainment comes of itself. Particular, etc. Departing souls reach their destined world following either Pitrayana, the path of the fathers, or Devyana, the path of the gods. The yogis after death does not travel along any path, having already attained the highest, which has nothing to do with any particular place or time. He has no world to reach. Supreme, etc. The supreme truth which the yogi attains after transcending all duality is ever present, eternal, and absolute, so cannot be spoken of it in terms of relative existence or relative truth. When the sense of duality is destroyed, this truth at once reveals itself, even as the sun is seen shining when clouds disappear. Stanza number 26. तीर्थे वान्तिज जगे हे वा यत्र कुत्र मत्रो मृतो अपि वा ने योगी पश्यते गर्भम परे ब्रह्मणि लीयते. The yogi, having died anywhere in a holy place or in the house of an untouchable, does not see the mother's womb again. He is dissolved in the supreme Brahma, does not, etc., is not reborn. Stanza number 30. सहज मजम चिंतयस्तु पश्ये स्वरूपम घटति यदि यथेष्टम लिप्यते नैव दोष सकृदपि तद्भावकरम किंचिन कुर्यात् तदपि न च विबद्धः संयमी वा तपस्वी. He who has seen his true self, which is innate, unborn, and incomprehensible, does not, if anything desired happens to him, become tainted. Being free from taint, he never performs any action. The man of self-restraint or the ascetic, therefore, is never bound, desired, etc. Only apparently desired by him who possesses self-knowledge. When one has attained to the knowledge of the self, one may still continue to live in the body and appear to be actively seeking desired objects. This, however, is only in semblance, being free from the taint of ignorance which makes the Average men seek desirable objects and avoid undesirable ones. He is really inactive. Stanza number 31. Niramayam apratibham nirakirtim nirasram nirvapusam nirashim nirdevan nirmoho lupta shaktikam tamisamatanam mupayati saswatam. He attains to the Supreme Self who is eternal, pure, fearless, formless, and spotless, who is without body, without desire, beyond the pairs of opposites, free from all illusion and of undiminished power. Pairs, etc., such as heat and cold, pain and pleasure, ignorance and knowledge, life and death, which are all relative. Stanza number 32. Vedo ne diksya ne cha mundan kriya gurun te shisho ne cha yantar sampada mudra adhikam chapi ne yatra bhashti tamisam atm mupayati saswatam. He attains to the supreme eternal self in whom exists no Veda, no initiation, no tonsor, no teacher, no disciple, no perfection of symbolic figures, no hand posture or anything else. Symbolic, etc. In ritualistic worship, geometrical figure drawn on metal stones, etc., are sometimes used as symbols of divinity. Hand posture called mudra used as part of ritualistic worship. Stanza number 33. Ne shambhavam shakti kamanam ne va pindam ne rupam ne padadikam ne va aram nispati ghatadikam ne no tamishamanam mupayati saswatam. He attains to the supreme eternal self in whom is neither Sambhavi nor Shakti nor Anavi initiation, neither a sphere nor an image nor a foot nor anything else, neither beginning nor ending nor a jar, etc. Sambhavi, etc. Tantrika texts speak of three kinds of initiation. Sambhavi initiation, which is very rare, is that in which the teacher by a mere word, look, touch, or by will imparts the highest knowledge of God to the disciple instantly. Shakti initiation is that in which the teacher instills into the disciple a great spiritual power which will of itself within a reasonable time bring about the disciple's spiritual emancipation. The disciple does not have to exert himself for this realization. Such initiation also is exceptional. A Navi or Mantri initiation is that in which the teacher on an auspicious day instructs the disciple concerning the method of spiritual practice he should follow, gives him a word or a phrase called mantra to repeat, and offers other necessary instructions the disciple must practice according to these instructions to gain spiritual knowledge. Sphere, a round symbol made of stone, etc. Foot, sometimes either an image of a foot or a footprint is used as a symbol of worship. Beginning, etc. Ceremonial beginning and ending of worship. Jar, sometimes a jar filled with water is used as a symbol of the all-pervading divinity. Stanza number 34. Yasve Swaroop Yasve Swarupa Characharam Jagat Utpadyate Tishtati Liyate Apiva Payo Vikar Dev Fen Bud Buddha Timis Mupayati Saswatam. He attains to the supreme eternal self from whom ascends the universe of movable and immovable objects is born, in whom it rests and into whom it dissolves, even as foam and bubbles are born of the transformation of water. Stanza number 35. न सा निरोधो न च दृष्टिरासनं बोधो बोधोऽपि न यत्र भासते नाडी प्रचारोऽपि न यत्र किश्चित् तमिस्मात्मुपैति शाश्वतम्. He attains to the supreme eternal self in whom is no closing of nostril nor gazing nor posture, and in whom is neither knowledge nor ignorance nor any narrow current closing, etc. In the practice of pranayama or breath control, each nostril in turn is closed with the finger in order to breathe only with the other nostril. Gazing, fixing the eye on a certain point to induce concentration. Posture, a particular way of sitting which allows the body to be most comfortable and yet conduces to the practice of mental concentration. Narrow current. The reference is to the three nerves mentioned in yoga text Ida, Pingala and Susumana, along which though currents are made to flow in order to realize higher states of consciousness. Stanza number 36. Nana tav me katam bhatva manyata anuvadi dirgham tav महत्व शून्यता मानतव्यम समर्पवर्जितम तमिस्मा मानमुपैति शाश्वतम. He attains to the supreme eternal self who is devoid of unmindfulness, oneness, many and oneness and otherness, who is devoid of minuteness, length, largeness and nothingness, who is devoid of knowledge, knowableness and sameness. Stanza number 37. So संयमी वा यदि वा न संयमी, सो संग्रही वा यदि वा संग्रही, निष्कर्म को वा यदि वा सकर्कम, सत्तम सिम्मानुमप्ति शाश्वतम. He attains the supreme eternal self whether he has perfect self-control or not, whether he has withdrawn his senses well or not, whether he has gone beyond activity or is active. Stanza number 38. Mano ne buddhir ne sharir indriyam tanmatra bhutani ne bhut panchakam Ahem kirtischapi vitusrupakam tamismatam anupati sasvatam. He attains the supreme eternal self who is not mind, intelligence, body, senses or egoism and is neither the subtle elements nor the five gross elements nor of the nature of space. Stanza number 39. विधो निरोधे परमात्मात् गति ने योगिनिश्चेतसि भेदवर्जिते शोचम ने वा शोच लिंगम भावना सर्वम विधेयम यदि वा निषिध्यते. When injunctions cease and the yogi attains to the supreme self, his mind being void of differentiations, he has neither purity nor impurity. His contemplation is without distinguishing attributes, and even what is usually prohibited is permissible to him. Injunctions, prescriptions given by the scriptures to a spiritual aspirant in regard to what he should practice. The yogi who has attained to the highest is beyond the need of such prescriptions. Contemplation, etc. The consciousness of the yogi dwells on the attributeless absolute. Prohibited, etc. The spiritual aspirant is prohibited from doing certain things just as he is enjoined to do other things, but upon attaining the highest he goes beyond all injunctions and prohibitions. Realizing himself as the absolute, he may act in even an appropriate evil way, just as God does some apparently evil things in his creation. Stanza number 40. मनोवचो यत्र न शक्ति ऋतुम नूनम कथम तत्र गुरुपदेशता इमाम कथा मुक्तवतो गुरुस्तद युक्तस्य तवम ही संप्रकाशते. Where mind and speech can utter nothing, how can there be instruction by a teacher to the teacher ever united with Brahma, who has said these words, the homogeneous truth science? So here ends this video. Next video number 3 will start with chapter number 3. Thanks a lot. Namaskar, my dear friends. Please like, comment, and share the video and subscribe the channel. Thanks a lot. Namaskar.